Hey guys, welcome to the Trash Picture Show. Today I will be talking about the 1972 British horror cult classic Deathline. Now, when this movie came out, it was not well received in the UK. It was considered very grotty and grungy. Granted, the Hammer horror movies had pushed the boundaries, but this was something that UK audiences weren't ready for in 1972. It was received a lot better in the United States, where it went under the title Raw Meat. But by and large, in England, where it was made, it was not well liked. Over the subsequent years, it has gained a cult following, and the likes of Edgar Wright has cited it as one of his favourite horror movies. So what is the plot? The plot involves a young couple who come across the unconscious body of an MP, and when they go to report it to a police officer and go back, the body is missing. It transpires that there is a cannibal, a feral human being played by Hugh Armstrong, living in the London Tube, in the London Underground, and he has been killing and eating people who have been unlucky enough to come across him. Hugh Armstrong gives a fantastic performance as this almost Neanderthalic like man. He's not a total monster. You have some empathy for him, but he is incredibly vicious, and the plot and origin for his character and his mate, as I would call her, is very kind of dark and grim. Essentially, a group of tunnel workers and their families were trapped in the tunnels, and the government didn't bother kind of digging them out, and they were left for dead. And they ended up inbreeding with each other and eating the corpses that had been buried in the rubble with them. And over the subsequent generations, these kind of feral people bred until it was just Hugh Armstrong's character, the man, as he's known in the credits, and his mate, and he has been killing people and bringing them back to feed his pregnant mate. And something happens to her and he goes fucking berserk. So the young couple report the missing MP to the police, and they are sent to a detective by the name of Calhoun, played by Donald Pleasence, who does a fantastic job as this working class Bobby who just wants a decent cup of tea and is not happy for the paperwork. And he's very suspicious because one of the couple is an American student played by David Ladd. I think it was Alan Ladd Jr.'s son. He's not a great actor, but he gives an all right performance, and he's essentially telling the detective, look, I didn't even want to check on the guy at first, which makes him seem very sus. So it's discovered the guy is an MP and a member of MI6. So they think there's something. They think there's some other sinister plot going on. So they go in to investigate his house and find out he's a bit of a sex pervert, and that's where we get the cameo from Christopher Lee, Stranton Villers, who is essentially a kind of a MI5 spook who basically tells Donald Pleasence, look, fuck off. We'll check this out. And he's like, fuck you. It's brilliant. The kind of back and forth between Lee and Pleasence is fantastic. And Christopher Lee, he's only in it. It's a blink or you'll miss it kind of cameo. But the banter between the two really makes it. So the young couple again end up embroiled in this scenario where the guy's girlfriend is abducted and he goes back to Donald Pleasence and they go looking, and that's when they encounter Hugh Armstrong's cannibal and they realise what happened and what's going on. We also get Clive Swift as a inspector. I think he's an London Underground inspector, and he explains the backstory and how they were trapped, the people were trapped under there. And like when he's asked, well, what did they eat? Well, I suppose when one person would die, the others would eat him. And if you're wondering why Clive Swift, the name Clive Swift rings a bell, that's Richard, that's Hyacinth Bouquet's husband, long-suffering husband. But yeah, they end up They end up encountering the man, Hugh Armstrong's cannibalistic Neanderthal. And the cool thing is, he can't speak English. He's trying to communicate with David Ladd's girlfriend. I think it was Sharon Gunnery from Straw Dogs that played her. I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to check that. But he's trying to I think he wants to mate with her. He doesn't want to kill her, and he's trying to communicate. But because he's been underground and because he's been raised by these other feral people, his English is terrible. He hasn't been exposed to proper English. The only sentence he knows is "mind the doors." That's all he knows from the tube station. Mind the doors. That's he emotes when he's trying to talk to her. When he gets angry, it's like mind the doors or mind the doors. He keeps on saying it, and it's driving her mad. It's almost as disconcerting as his pox-ridden face. The character essentially has been underground so long and has been in these horrible conditions. He's riddled with all kinds of bacteria and pox and everything. The body of a worker that's killed by him is brought back up, and judging by the bite marks, the pathologist guesses that this person has has 1,000,001 different diseases. But yeah, again, Hugh Armstrong's performance as the man is cool. It's sympathetic. It's very sad when his mate dies, and when he's trying to communicate with the girlfriend and the young couple. He can't. He essentially can't. And again, it's one of those movies where you don't really hate the monster. Armstrong's performance is so good, you can't hate him. You pity him. He does some horrible stuff, but yeah, I genuinely think that this is essentially a gem, a hidden gem of a movie. I think this was prior to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and like some of the scenes in the underground lair of the man is very Texas Chainsaw-esque. It's just grim and grimy, and there's bodies and corpses left strewn all over the place. And again, you might find it very tame for today's standards, but back in 1972, it was very gory and very vicious. Like, the body count isn't big, but the cannibal, the feral man, ends up embedding a shovel in someone's head, and it's fairly graphic. Like, again, it's fairly tame for today's standards, but there is some shock value in it. And I think if you're a fan of horror, and if you're a fan of the likes of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or if you liked maybe Don't Look Now, kind of really claustrophobic, kind of dark, dingy horror, definitely check this one out, because it's fantastic. The cast is brilliant. Donald Pleasence is so enjoyable. The character, he bounces between very serious to very comedic. There's a bit where he's just having a fucking bad day, and he goes into a pub, and the landlord's trying to throw him out, and he tries blackmailing the landlord while he's drunk. Hey, you shouldn't have been serving us at this time. And he's like, he's like giving the guy a hard time. But again, he does a fantastic role as a working class Bobby. Christopher Lee in his split-second cameo is awesome, and Hugh Armstrong as the man, the feral cannibalistic man, is awesome. He brings to mind the likes of Shawnee Bean, or even Kieran Patrick Kelly, the Irish underground killer who I think between 1953 to 1983 he killed, maybe some people say 14 people, other people are citing 28 to 30. He was someone who, like, he's like something out of your nightmares. The only reason he was caught was he actually strangled another hobo in his cell with his socks. So yeah, it kind of echoes stuff like that. If you're interested in kind of like real kind of gritty, grimy kind of horror, definitely check out Deathline. It kicks ass. It's gory. It's a classic, and it's very underrated. So my name is Martin. This has been the Trash Picture Show, and yeah, have a good one. Take care. Bye now.